I'm going to show you what this lizard means in just a minute. What if I told you that 30 seconds a day was enough to change your brain? I know most of you would go, lady, 30 seconds? That's not long enough to do anything. Or, there's no way that's true. But I want you just for today, just for a few minutes, to imagine that that possibility is true, because it is. Many years ago, when I began to study educational neuroscience, I realized that one of the most crucial pieces of data that I would ever discover, I found out over 20 years ago on the side of the road. One day, we were on our way to the dentist. We lived in a really small town at the time, so the dentist was in the next big town over an hour away. My children, who were 7 and 3 at the time, all they knew was we're going on to the big town. We're going to the dentist. My only focus was to get them in the car, get them buckled up, and get to the dentist on time. Because you know, if you're not there on time, they cancel your appointment. I got them in the car. We started down the road. I was going just a little over the speed limit. We'd been traveling for about 45 minutes when I looked down and I noticed I was past E. Oh no, I thought, this cannot be happening. So I rolled the windows down, turned off the air conditioner, and thought, I've got to chance it. I'm only 15 minutes from the dentist. About that time, the car began to sputter. Oh no, I'm on the freeway with 2 kids in the back seat. What was I going to do? So I coasted to the edge of the road, and about then, my car died. I decided the only thing that I could do was to push. So I told my son, who was 7 years old, all right, bub, get ready. You're about to drive. He said, Mom, are you sure you know what you're doing? I said, no, I don't, but this is the only choice we've got. So he got in the front seat, I buckled him in. I got out of the car with one hand on the window and one hand on the dash, and I started to push. The only problem was I was wearing high heels and a skirt that was made of about 10 yards of fabric. Well, if you've never been to Texas when the wind blows, it's something really special. I could see the gas station just about 200 yards down the road. All I needed was just a little momentum to make it to the end of the hill, and we could coast to the gas station. I had just begun to get a little bit of traction with the car. My son said, all right, Mom, we're moving. And about then, a gust of wind blew. My whole skirt and all 100 yards of fabric went right over the top of my head. I didn't know what to do. Did I let go and leave my 7 and 3-year-old to free float down the highway? Or did I just keep pushing? Protective mom mode kicked in, and I just kept pushing. About then I could hear meep, 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 meep. Not 1, not 2, not 3, but 6 honks later, I was hearing these truckers going by, blazing, honking on their way, thinking, you jerk, one of you cops can at least get out and help us. And I looked in the back seat to see my daughter, the 3-year-old, doing this. If you don't know what that is, in Texas, that's code for trucker honk. She looked at me and she said, Mom, this is so fun. I said, I'm glad you think so. How in 30 seconds time had I gone from being frustrated, anxious, and angry to full-blown laughter? I looked at her face and I knew I had changed what my brain was focusing on. Right there on the side of the road, I was experiencing a crucial piece of data that I would later uncover in my research 2 decades later. When you change what your brain is focusing on, you change the chemicals and you change your life. In 30 seconds, looking back, I know now that I stopped being angry and frustrated, releasing chemicals like cortisol and epinephrine in my body that were making me more anxious and more angry. And when I started to laugh, the feel-good chemicals of dopamine and endorphins began to fill my body, and all of a sudden, things weren't so bad anymore. Later, when I began to think, how in the world did I do that? I thought, oh, this is more complex than you think, because our brains are a system of neurons. There are 100 billion of them inside our heads, and in here, those chemicals are everything. And 30 seconds is longer than you think. What if I told you that 30 seconds every day could really change your life? Maybe if you just thought about the power of 30 seconds, you might think differently. We all know in the world of sports that 30 seconds has won and lost ball games. My son, who's now a high school coach, the driver of the dentist car, he will tell you that 30 seconds is everything. You all know Peyton Manning. He's won 54 ball games in the last 2-minute warning, most of those in the final 30 seconds. And what about the world of rodeo, where the only objective is to stay on the bull for 8 seconds? And the difference between winning millions of dollars and 0 is 1 second. In this country, 40,000 people die every year in car accidents, and almost all of them could have been avoided with an extra 30 seconds. 30 seconds to slam on the brakes, 30 seconds of more reaction time to swerve and miss the oncoming car. 30 seconds would have gotten you all the way through the intersection, and you would have missed the wreck altogether. What about strokes? My daughter, who was the honker in the back seat of that car, is now an ICU nurse, and she will tell you, in the world of strokes, 30 seconds is the difference between brain loss and brain function. And what about a burn? All of us have been burned at one time in our life with a hot pan, an oven, or a curling iron on your ear. Those are so excruciating with just 1 second. Imagine if you left that curling iron there for 30 seconds, because 30 seconds is longer than you think. In my life, I realized that 30 seconds can change not only our bodies, but it can change people. And one of the most important examples of that I've ever seen in my life was with a 16-year-old boy who walked through my class one day named Andrew. Andrew was mad at the world, and he wanted all of us to know it. He was fresh out of military school when he came to my class, and he would not listen. He didn't want to do anything. He didn't want to be there, and he wanted all of us to know it. He was the hardest student I'd ever taught. I could reach everybody, but I couldn't reach him. So I went home one day pouting, and I was telling my daughter, who was a teenager also, I said, I can't reach him. I can't give him good enough grades. I can't talk to him. He won't even look at me. And she said, Mom, no one cares how much you know until they know how much you care. Find something you like about him and tell him. What? That had nothing to do with teaching. That was nothing I'd learned in school. That didn't matter at all. But it did. And I started the very next day. I began looking at Andrew differently. I stopped looking at everything that was wrong with Andrew and began to try to find one thing I liked. I can tell you there were many days it was hard. And I would look at him and take 30 seconds and focus on one thing I loved. Some days it was nothing more than, oh, Andrew, I love the way you part your hair. Because that was all there was. But I did it every single day. After a few weeks, Andrew began to come into my class with a different look on his face. After a few months, he began to smile. And at the end of the semester, I could tell that he and I had a bond that had absolutely been altered by 30 seconds every day. At the end of the year, Andrew left our school and went on to do other things, but I kept in contact with him. And I told his friends to send messages to him saying, Miss Danford's thinking about you, wishing you a good day. Many years later, Andrew contacted me and said, said, Miss Danford, I'm in town. Would you like to go get a coffee? I said, sure, I'd love to. In the middle of our visit, I asked him, Andrew, what made you treat me differently than all the other teachers? You could have had such a different life at our school if you treated them the way you treated me. And the words he said to me, I will never forget. He said, Miss Danford, you smiled at me every time you saw me, and you made me feel like you were grateful I was alive. Wow. 30 seconds is all it took to make someone feel like that. I knew then I was onto something. It is amazing what you can do when you change your focus from looking at everything that's wrong and finding something that's right. And it's the secret to living a life you smile about. Because as I became an educational neuroscientist, I found out the reason that 30-second works. And it belongs to a lizard. Inside our brains, there's something called the reticular activating system. It runs down the base of your brain in your brainstem. It's the oldest part of your brain, in the evolutionary brain, often called the lizard brain. In this lizard brain, it does not think, but it filters. This little system, the reticular activating system, filters the information just like a good filter does. It lets certain things through, and it keeps certain things out. The only problem is, it only lets through the things that you think are important. Your thoughts and your feelings are telling your lizard what to let through every minute of every day. And the reason I changed my lizard when I began to look at Andrew is I told my filter to look for something good instead of noticing all that was wrong. If you walk outside and see a lizard, you'll know they don't think. They just filter. It doesn't matter how nice you are. If you walk outside and see a lizard and say, oh, lizard, I'm really a nice lady. I promise I won't hurt you. I like animals. I think I've always wanted a pet lizard. Can I just pick you up? Chances are that lizard, his filter, only sees a giant object moving toward him. And chances are, he'll dash away in an instant. Because our reticular activating system filter does not think. It just filters. And just like all the other lizards, it doesn't matter. It just filters according to what you think, according to what you believe, and according to what you choose to do with your 30 seconds. So what if today you started to create a brand new lizard in your head? What if you made a filter that made something good about yourself, about this day, about this life, about this school? What if you changed your filter from thinking about everything that's wrong with the world and started to find something right? Because there are Andrews all over the world who are being filtered out every single day. Chances are some of you have probably felt filtered out in your lifetime. I know I have. If someone would have just taken 30 extra seconds to see you with a new filter, what would they have seen? What if you start today to see someone else with a new filter? Then look at yourself through a new filter. What would you see? I learned a valuable lesson about this a few years ago when my son and I were in a car wreck. We were in a 4-car pileup, and my car was the one smashed in the middle. We got hit from the front and hit from the behind. Immediately, Mom Mo kicked in, and I looked in my back seat to make sure my son was okay. I knew when he was smiling, we were okay. So I got him out of the car, off to the side of the road, and to safety. About that time, the man who started the wreck got out of his car screaming and yelling and cussing, telling me that his car was only a few days old. I thought to myself, jerk, I have a son in the back seat. About that time, I felt a little tap, tap, tap on my leg. It was my son. with a handful of wildflowers. He said, "Mom, look, we wrecked in exactly the right place." There it was again, a filter in 30 seconds. He was looking at everything that was right in the situation, and I was looking at everything that was wrong. Of course, there's always going to be negative things in your life. There will always be things that are going to go wrong. You're going to wake up tomorrow and go, "Yeah, lady, that didn't work for me." But what if it does? What if you stop, even though there's something going wrong, and take 30 seconds to focus on something that's going right? You think of one thing about yourself, whether it be your hair, your teeth, your musical ability, or simply just your excellent taste in shoes. Find something you like about yourself and focus on it for 30 seconds. It is longer than you think. It has the power to change you in ways you never dreamed possible. Because neuroscience will tell you that only 10% of the quality of your life is actually based on reality. And the other 90% is the filter through which you view it. Today, you have the opportunity to take 30 seconds and change your focus, which will change your filter, which will change your life. Thank you.